Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, depending on when you are watching this or where you are in the world. I am Shantae Javon Taylor, neuroscientist and success strategist, founder of the OptiMind Institute. Welcome, welcome. Wherever you are in the world, let me know in the comments where you are in the world. Today, I'm doing an info session on the 8-week OptiMind NeuroCoach and NeuroLeadership certification training. Hi there. I can't see your face, but I see your wave. So if you have questions about how we do the OptiMind NeuroCoach certification program, specific questions just that come to your mind as I am sharing about the program, please feel free to put it in the comments and I will try to address them as we go along today. Okay. So right off the bat, I just want to say that we are starting next week the OptiMind NeuroCoach and NeuroLeader certification training. It is ICF accredited, and it is 8 weeks long. And so we will go through a neuroscience journey, if you will, to amplify your existing expertise, whatever it is, whatever your niche is, whether you're a coach, a leader, you are always impacting brains, whether you consciously do it or not. You are always, always impacting other people's brains. So if you are a coach, if you are someone who deals with people, who leads people, who influences people, it is the era of the brain. And I've been saying this for the last decade, of course, but now is really the time to lean in to this brilliant neural technology of ours, understand it better, and then help others to do the same. Okay, and I will show you some examples of our graduate students who have did so many things with this knowledge. I can't guarantee what you will do with this knowledge, because so many doors open up in your mind and so many opportunities open up in the world once you are able to explain human behavior and go deeper with your clients and start to be intentional about how you impact other minds. Doors will start opening for you. So I can't wait to really highlight some of the things graduates have been able to do with understanding the brain at the level that I teach it. Okay. All right, so hopefully you can see my screen here. So becoming a neurocoach and neuroleader from our training, the OptiMind Institute, we are a very diverse and inclusive group of coaches, leaders, therapists, people who train in the world. The brain is a universal instrument, okay, tool. So everybody has a brain and everyone deserves to learn how to use it. Hey, Dr. Angela Clack, she's one of our, of course. Clark Park, welcome, welcome. Some of our alumni is here. Since the brain is a universal tool, and we are impacting minds wherever we go. I'm talking about, at home with your kids, with your spouse, the clerk at the grocery, store. You're always impacting minds, whether you're frowning, whether you're smiling, whether you give someone a compliment, whether you ignore someone. We are always communicating, okay? And because of the way our brains are wired, we either instinctively pick up on someone and respond and impact them that way as well. So it's a symbiotic relationship, people. So I just love how diverse and inclusive our industries are and people's backgrounds. And I love, this is my actually favorite part, is seeing what they do with this knowledge. This knowledge is not for everyone right now to learn at this level. So when OptiMind students come, they learn it 12, 15 layers deeper than what they would present in a keynote or one of their programs or with a coaching client. Okay, and I help them to use a language that best represents their personality, so that they can get to really using this knowledge and putting it out in the world. It's very important that you be intentional about why you're learning something. Okay, that's why I also teach on the adult learning brain before people can actually enroll in the program or start the actual work. So there's a lot out there. Okay, the landscape for social media, for understanding the coaching industry, has changed over the last decade. I've watched it. Social media is not the same. Getting clients is not the same. You have to go to another level of understanding of this coaching and leadership dynamic. Okay, people are looking for a deeper level of understanding and engagement. And so I can see why, because I look at human behavior, I can see why so many coaches are overwhelmed in the industry. I can see why there's so many leaders being out of touch, because I was there at one point. One of my last positions was working with the government, called the Mind Study, working to look at PTSD and brain injuries in Afghanistan and Iraqi veterans. And I saw the dynamics even going on at play within the governmental organization. And people can't operate at their best if they don't feel respected, if their voices are not heard, if there's miscommunication, if is stuff going on at home, right? So all of these dynamics are playing out in people's brains and how they show up in the world. And so thankfully, from my background, I was able to put that all together and then move from the clinical experience to the real world, everyday experience to help people who influences minds to understand the brain at this level. So in today's fast-paced coaching and leadership world, we need to advance our strategies. We know so much more about the brain in the last 25 years than in the last 1,000 years combined, right? With the use of technology, brain imaging in real time. So your mouth could be saying something, right? But your brain could be totally saying something else, right? And so we mask ourselves, we cover ourselves, but our brain is the truth. It knows the truth, right? So we have to get into alignment with our actions, with our thoughts, and with our words. And the more you understand about the brain, the more likely you'll be in that alignment and be able to coach and lead from a place of truth, from a place of compassion, from a place of understanding and inclusiveness. Okay, the understanding the brain at this level allows you just to be that way and show up that way naturally. Okay, but I know there's a lot of other coaches and leaders out there vying for attention, right? It's in kind of this rat race now to get clients. And so I want you to get out of the rat race. I want you to stand out as a coach. I want you to operate in your truth. I want you to operate in your authenticity. I want you to operate in your mission. I want you to operate in alignment to who you are and not try to be like any other coach. Okay. And so one way to stand out is to understand how to interact, engage, and explain human behavior and strategies and activities at the brain level. And I'm not talking like professorial, like this is how your brain works, right? This is the amygdala. We're not robots, people. I want you to talk like a human being when you're trying to guide someone and influence how they think about their thinking. Okay. And so that is very important in the program that I've been running since 2016. Okay. So I've been able to see what needs to happen in real time for coaches and leaders. I keep up with trends. I keep up with industries. I keep up with what's working and what's not working. I keep up with the research on neuroscience and take that complex knowledge and figure out, how do I talk in plainer language in a way that will resonate with people? Okay, so this is an art. So understanding neuroscience is not just, hey, I know all these things, random facts about the brain, and let me act like I know how to say it and use it. No, it's an art form to be able to determine what you need to know and how much you need to use to engage in the moment. Some of my students, they get speaking opportunities, and they could be talking to, a group of nurses on burnout. They could be talking to a group of teachers on how to optimize, their students' learning experiences, right? You're going to talk to a group of nurses differently than you'll talk to a group of teachers, right? And so that's very important to understand the dynamic, which is why my students have lifetime access, not just to the program, but to our brains, the trainers, the neuro professors, because we expect you to continue to have questions and step up your level of understanding according to your niche and opportunities, right? But I understand in the sea of coaches and leaders, it's very hard to attract clients and the attention of organizations. But if you come out talking about how your strategies, your speaking, your trainings differ because you're talking at the level of the brain in a way that resonates, now you got people's attention because you don't sound like everybody else. Okay. And I get it too. Some people become life coaches and you're stepping from another industry, right? Maybe you feel like you self-actualize, you feel like life coaching is something that you're called to do, but you also feel like an imposter only because you haven't really done this before, right? So maybe for 2, 3 decades, you were an executive at a bank or something, right? But you felt called to become an executive coach, right? And so because your nervous system is used to showing up every day in a certain role, it feels out of sorts, if you will, being just a coach, right? And now you have to learn all the things. And now you got to get the client. So it's not just overwhelming, but I get the imposter syndrome. I think it's really natural. I actually would be concerned if you didn't feel like an imposter, because to me, if you don't feel like an imposter, then you're kind of not in a humbling place, if you will, because you do have to learn the way a coach thinks. You do have to learn strategies in order to engage, right? It's a different field. It's a different mindset and thinking and way of impacting people. So I do get the imposter syndrome. I do get it's challenging to get clients. I do get that your confidence may wane in this industry, right? And then because we're used to succeeding all of our lives, right? If you look at it, school, right? We're used to succeeding all the time. We know what classes to take. We study for the test. We go after that job with a certain job description. So we only have to operate in that job description. But when we become a coach, or maybe we take on another leadership role in an organization, now those responsibilities have changed. Now we have to learn, another way of thinking and being, which is another reason why I train on the adult learning brain, because our adult learning brain functions differently, learns differently than our 20-year-old brain or a teenager brain. When our brains get to around the late 30s, then the cycle architecture, the brain architecture has changed according to all of that basic foundation, experiences, and wisdom. So we don't have the same number of neural pathways that we had when we were in our 20s, which is not a bad thing. It just means our brains are more refined and want to learn at a higher level, at a more intentional level. But this is not something people train on in programs. They don't teach you how to learn first. And it's very important that you learn how your brain learns as an adult, an older adult. I'm talking about 30, late 30s and up. It's very important, especially for something like neuroscience based coaching, because it can be complex, right? And it should be challenging for you, or you're not growing, you're not learning in the first place. But I don't want you to be overwhelmed with what you learn. And I can decrease that overwhelm by teaching you about how your brain learns optimally as an adult. Okay, so that is a big part of the training. So we need more advanced coaches and leaders who are talking about the brain influencing other people's brains, using brain-based strategies. Your clients, the people that you lead, want to understand their brains better. I mean, they light up. And when they can think about these strategies that you tell them to do, I'm going to pick something simple, okay? Because I'm not here to give you 50,000 brain-based strategies to use. That's not the goal. Let's say you want your client to journal, okay? Journal your thoughts, gratitude journal. Okay, well, if they're not consistent with that ever, like for years, what makes you think they're going to actually do it this time? But if you explain the brain changes that happen when they are activating their neuromuscular, nervous system, and how that starts to coordinate thinking and emotions. Now, when they are in that moment of knowing that they should, start writing in their gratitude journal, they can actually think through what is happening in their brain as they are writing in their gratitude journal. Okay. And so you want them to be able in real times of crossroads and challenges and resistance, to be able to think on a deeper level and visualize that these strategies really work, right? They're not platitudes, they're not cliches, they're not, one quote or two, or things they've heard all of their lives. And so people are numb to generalizations. People know they need to exercise. People know they need to sleep. People know they need to stop being so distracted. People know that they need to pay more attention to someone when they're talking to them or listening to them, but they don't do it. It's because they don't understand the impact that is having on their brain and on the other person's brain. So we need a different level of understanding and coaching and leading in today's time, which is why I encourage people to join the OptiMind NeuroCoaching program. So Einstein, brilliant man, of course, he said we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. I mean, that's another quote. But if you think of it from a neuro coaching perspective, it makes sense. You need a different set of neural pathways, right? Your clients need a different set of neural pathways to succeed, to move forward. Okay, it's the new year, so everyone probably made a new set of resolutions. They've been making the same resolutions for decades. But we all know what happens to resolutions after a few weeks, right? That's because they're trying to create new habits, new ways of thinking and being with the same neural pathways. It has to be shook up. They have to have a deeper level of understanding. So why should you even be listening to me? Look, I took myself through this, right? I've been studying the brain for 20 years. I have degrees in it. I started with clinical neuropsychology, learning the pathologies of the brain. That's where my neural pathways were for 15 years. What is wrong with your brain, right? Assessing people with dementia and Alzheimer's disease, PTSD. I was always looking for what is wrong with people in general, because that's how my neural pathways are set up. But I did not feel fulfilled in doing that, because my natural strength is to look at what is going right with people. Even with someone who had dementia and still had, some level of awareness, right? I would always look for, okay, what can you do? I would share that with their caregivers. So that was my natural strength, my natural gift. So I had to learn how to use neuroscience in such a way that amplified people's existing strengths, talents, gifts, and help them to focus on what can how they can thrive versus survive. Don't wait for something to go wrong. No, just like positive psychology, right? Where we understand that there are things that can be done for the human psyche to thrive. We can do that with neuroscience as well, positive neuroscience. So that is what I do in the world. That's why I, got the degrees. I'm a Bruin. Go Bruins. Who's a Bruin out there in the world? So I've worked in every industry, every major industry, I would say, from high school to college to big pharma, government, health. And so I understand the dynamics of human behavior within all of these different levels and realms. And so I'm able to provide that perspective, those neural perspectives that help to shift people in ways that will empower them and their organizations and their clients. So our mission is to empower 1 billion minds. And I do that in various ways. So the coaching program is just one way, right? Like I'm concentrating on educators, trainers, coaches, and leaders, taking them to 15 levels of understanding the brain so that they can impact people in a deeper way. But I also have the podcast. I go on other people's podcasts. So I don't limit myself to just training. There's other ways that I amplify and empower to get to that 1 billion mind, that critical point. And I don't do it alone. I have a lovely team who are neuro professors, and they have their own niches, brain hormone and body and immunology, relationship scientist and body language expert, and meditation mindfulness. And I still have colleagues who are still in the clinical world come and talk about what is going on clinically when it comes to pathologies of the brain and what's on the horizon. It's very important to understand, or still be in the know for preventative methods as well. And so it's very important also to be able to understand how to use the tools that will amplify your message as coaches and leaders as well. So we have specific trainers for social media, how to show up on video, how to take powerful mind maps according to the best way the brain learns, how to use social media effectively. So, all that's included as well in our training. So we're here to build minds of the future. We need it. We need it right now. Okay. Time is running out. And I don't mean to stoke your threat brain here, but when you think of, how we are evolving, our innovations are outpacing our empathy, our compassion, our wisdom. And we need to optimize how we think about the brain and intentionally use it to amplify those spaces in our mind for empathy, compassion, and wisdom with the pace of this innovation. I mean, just yesterday there was a hearing in Congress with the top, social media CEOs, right? And social media is like any other tool, people. It serves a function to get us to the next level of our engagement and communication. However, just like any tool, it can be used for bad things as well. Okay. But here's the key: we need leaders who have empathy and compassion over the bottom line when it comes to using and putting these technologies out there, right, for human consumption and use, or those technologies, those products also need leaders who want to make sure our planet is intact. Okay. So we need wiser leaders. We need leaders who have more compassion and empathy, because obviously money is not what's going to save us. It is this, and it's our impact on one another. Okay. Hi, Nicole, Garrett. There's actually CEUs for ICF, which is the International Coaching Federation. So you get 24 CEUs for that. There's a lot of CEU accrediting entities. We just haven't went down the rabbit hole for all of them. And you're welcome, Octaviano, in LinkedIn. And you know, one of the reasons why we don't go down the rabbit hole of getting CEUs for every entity, like I said, we have a very wide group of students that come from all walks of life: psychologists, therapists, social workers, of course, coaches, and different kinds of niches. So to be able to get CEUs for everyone, you know, that would be a whole lot. So the key that we focus on is you just need this knowledge, right? You know, above all, let's detach it from, you know, the immediate another degree, right? Let me just equivocate it to that. You know, another certification. Yes, you do get it certified, but you get so much more when you understand how to lead and train and impact from the level of the brain. I mean, it opens up so much more in your own mind and what you can do with your own expertise. It amplifies your expertise. It amplifies your insights. It amplifies your wisdom. It amplifies how you show up for other people. So even beyond that, you know, I know we're used to attaching, you know, if I put in all the work, I need to get something out of it, and you certainly will. So we all understand we're dealing with issues that are, you know, challenging everyone. Nobody is immune from challenges, okay? And so if we think about what is central to all of these challenges, it's the brain, right? Before anything else, we have to deal with the control center, all the external stimuli, all the internal stimuli, all of the programs and paradigms that we take in millions of bits per second unconsciously, right? All of that is doing something. You know, just all of that we're pulling from to make our decisions, whether they're conscious or not, but we could be more intentional. Okay. Octaviano says, I'm thinking about it. I have a postmaster certification in mind brain teaching from Hopkins, an institutional leader. Can you tell me a bit more about the post-training community network? Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's okay, Nicole. I will actually post a replay too. What comes in the kit we receive? Oh, okay. Like jumping ahead, Nicole. Okay. I'll try to get to those in a second. So who enrolls in the OptiMind program? New and established coaches, CEOs, executives, managers, HR leaders, talent managers, therapists, trainers, speakers, like I said, from all walks of life who haven't had the training, or they feel overwhelmed by what's out there and they want a more streamlined, systematic way of learning about the brain in a way that speaks to them, that resonates to them, and that they can actually feel confident about communicating it with those they are trying to teach, train, or impact. Okay. This is Alicia. She's one of our graduates. I believe she joined in 2017 or something. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alicia. Anywho, Alicia was already in degreed in science. Okay, she's biology, biological science, and she was the CEO of a company that was based in biotechnology or something like that. But she wanted to she saw the gaps in support for women CEOs and executives, so she wanted to pivot from being a CEO in the company to coaching and leading and training women. Okay. But like I said earlier, there's a lot to learn. There's a whole new way of thinking and being, and then getting clients and all of that. So she decided she wanted to stand out with understanding neuroscience, so that when she went out there and talked about coaching, she can say, I'm not just any coach, I coach from the level of the brain. So when she started to speak from that space, and she would get that attention, right? Because not everybody's talking about coaching and leading from that level of the brain and mind. And so she has gotten opportunities with NASA and Cisco and Porsche to train women executives at all these different levels. And so I can imagine that for her, right? I'm just a messenger teaching, what I know about the brain and human behavior, right? So understanding neuroscience is not to replace your knowledge and expertise. It is to enhance it, right? It is to build more confidence in how you show up in the world. It is to get you more attention and more eyeballs on your message and mission. And so for her, she started to get a lot more opportunities. This is Dr. Paula Langford. Now, Dr. Paula just recently, I believe she enrolled in 2017, 18, one of those years. But she's been doing a lot of work as a social worker. And one of her recent successes is becoming a faculty member at Johns Hopkins School of Education. Okay, so she is teaching mindfulness to counselors with a neuroscience perspective. And so you would think that therapists, psychologists, I don't know about social workers, you would think that it was in their curriculum to understand the brain and neuroscience, but it's actually optional. So that is the reason why quite a few therapists and psychologists and social workers come to the OptiMind program. Now, this is military veteran Jamal Belair. So his opportunities exploded when he was in the Navy. He was able to create a curriculum. He was asked by a neuroscientist that was over the whole coaching leadership sector for the naval officers. When she learned he understood neuroscience at the level of coaching, she asked him to create part of the curriculum so that the Navy officers who needed coaching could understand how their brain worked and how they are impacting the people that they're leading. Okay. And so that was over 250,000 naval officers that got exposure to that training. Okay. But wait, there's more. He's actually been able to coach for well-known people like Lisa Nichols and some other top people. This is Jim Pacey. He was able to take his love of altruism and volunteerism. He worked for the YMCA for, I believe, 3 decades. And so when he transitioned from that role, right? He moved into a space where he can train on emotional intelligence. So he trains from the lens of neuroscience when it comes to emotional intelligence. As a result, he is able to forge these partnerships with colleges to train on professional development and leadership as it relates to emotional intelligence. And he has a longstanding partnership with UT, University of Texas. Go Longhorns. Okay. So what are the other opportunities? I'm going to stop my slide for a sec. Books. You don't know how many, I have hundreds of students. They end up writing books. And for some of them, so this is What Are You Thinking? This is a book on neuroscience and grief. One of my students wanted to write a book about how she navigated her grief by navigating her brain. And for some of the students, I will write their foreword. I will give them reviews. I will give them or interview them on my podcast, Coffee with the Neuroscientist. I will go on their podcast. So this is another one on emotional intelligence. So your mind will expand on all the things that you can do and you feel confident to do when you have this knowledge. Okay. So books, and that's not even all the books, people. Interviews, they get interviewed, they get speaking engagements, they start their own coaching programs that are neuroscience based. Sometimes I help them with creating their programs. It just depends on my time availability and all of that. But I really want to say, people don't want to hire a neuroscientist. Look, I'm a neuroscientist, but I'm also a success trainer and a coach. Okay. They want to hire the people who understand neuroscience and can infuse it seamlessly into their craft to impact minds. Okay. So the program is an 8-week program. It's 65% brain-based strategies, about 20% neuroscience concepts, and then 15% business and professional growth training and expertise. So you can really stand out. So this is just an example of a job description where neuroscience is required. So this is a IBM and a position for a leadership development consultant. And a part of the responsibilities is to be able to incorporate best practices in adult learning theory, neuroscience, and leadership. People, it's coming. It's going to be a no-brainer for people to have that in their background, because this is the era of the brain. If we are not impacting minds intentionally, then what are we even doing? Technology is going to get away from us, because without the empathy, without the connection, without the compassion, without the wisdom gleaned from our brains, we're not going to use technology in a way that evolves us on the trajectory we need to be on as it stands right now. So neuroscience sharpens your expert brain. It's not there to replace it. It's just to heighten how you show up in the world with your strengths, with your knowledge, your existing knowledge, with your expertise. It explodes it, okay? So we start on the 5th, which is Monday, okay? But you have up until the 14th to fully enroll. Now, once the 5th comes around, the early bird investment goes away. Okay, right now it's $2,500 off the regular tuition of $6,500. Okay, there are payment plans, and the 5th is the date you start your pre-brain training, so that you can get into the depths of the 8-week training. Okay, and so that's why you have a bit of a cushion from the 5th to the 14th, or maybe it's the 12th, actually, whatever the 2 Mondays after that is. So some of the questions that I get frequently asked questions is how much time do I need to devote weekly? So each of the modules that are released on our platform, our OptiMind Institute platform. They're about 2 to 3 hours long, but they're broken up into 5 to 10 minute or even 5 to 15-minute videos, trainings. This is so you can, for two reasons, you can optimize, how you utilize your time, but also we expect you to keep referring back to the trainings depending on what you need it for. Maybe you're trying to create a presentation, or maybe your client has a particular problem and you want to go back to that section. So all of those trainings are by topics, so that you can just identify them fast, so that you can refresh your mind and be able to do what you need to with that knowledge. It is accredited by the ICF, the most renowned entity, coaching in this entity. Coaching is not regulated like a lot of other industries. So we're trying to change that. So it was very important to me that I had peer review on this program, even though I'm very confident. I'm very confident in my material. It's still good. I'm humble enough to know it's okay to give feedback on your coaching program, what you put out in the world. That's being responsible. So you can get 24 CEUs if that is one of your goals. It's not everybody's goal, because like I said, some people are leaders, some people are trainers and educators. Another question I get is, I'm not an experienced trainer or coach. Is this program right for me? You don't have to be experienced. You have to have a desire to understand this knowledge, the human experience at the level of the brain. You come with your curious brain, you come with the open mind, and I can train you. I've trained kindergartners, I've trained teenagers on their brain, I've trained college students, I've trained CEOs, business people. There's not a group of people that I can't relate this knowledge to in a way that impacts them to be able to understand their brain and help others to do the same. I didn't start off that way. Like I said, when you switch from one industry to the next, there's a learning curve. So I had to learn how to convey the knowledge of neuroscience without sounding like a robot or a professor. I had to be able to speak on the level of whoever I'm talking to. So, because it's not about me, it's can I convey this knowledge in such a way that resonates with you so you can use it. That is the mission, to empower 1 billion minds. So if I'm talking way up here or using all kind of words that you don't get, then I'm not doing people a service. So it's not about me trying to sound brilliant. Okay. I want you to be brilliant. However you learn, that's how I show up for you. Okay. So someone asked about the community. We have a community, right? There's ways to engage in the Facebook group. In the platform, there's comment sections. Some of our graduates and students, they get together and form relationships and partnerships and collaborations on their own. You have access to the information for as long as you're doing this work for life. Okay, until you decide you want to retire or something. I don't know. You have access to our brains for life. So that means for the 8 weeks, we are live on Thursdays, and I'm going deeper in a topic for that week. Okay. And then after that 8 weeks, then we go to bi-monthly calls where it's office hours Q&As, right? And you can ask about anything. You can ask about some of the training. You can ask about how can I best represent this topic or information in my presentation I'm giving. So I know it all, from the business all the way to coaching people at the level of the brain. Okay. So that's what those calls would be for. So you literally have access, and we don't want you just to stay our students. We want you to become our colleagues. We want you to write for the OptiMind blog. We want you to write your book so we can talk about it. So we can come on your podcast, or we can put you on our podcast so you can talk about your mission and how you serve the world. We want to give you the platform to be able to put your mission, your purpose out in the world. That's how we collaborate. Okay. When does the program start? February 5th. You have till the 12th to get enrolled. Okay. There we go. February 5th, last day to enroll. The 12th, last day to secure the early bird investment is the 5th. Okay, that's $2,500 off. So I will put the links in the comments. I know that I'm streaming on a few different places right now, Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube. So I'll put all those in the comments section. If you're on my email list, you'll definitely get those emails reminding you, hey, time is of the essence. You can also book a call with me or somebody on my team and have some more of your questions answered. We are sending packages, and depending on where you are in the world, I mean, we have people in, Ireland and Australia, so it's not always feasible to send things there. So you'll get a digital package, but if you are in a place where it's more feasible for us to send you something physical, which will include your own anatomical brain, it won't be as beautiful as this, but you'll still have it. Your workbook and some other goodies to help you on your journey with us during the certification program. You will also receive a digital plaque, certification plaque. And once again, depending on where you are in time and space, you will receive a physical plaque as well. So let me know if you have any questions. I'm just going to end it with this. Each of us is responsible for the whole of humankind. We need to think of each other really as brothers and sisters and to be concerned for each other's welfare. Rather than working solely to acquire wealth, we need to do something meaningful, something directed seriously towards the welfare of humanity as a whole. That is what I'm talking about. That is the mission, people. We have to think about humanity, that I am my brother's keeper. I am my sister's keeper. Okay. And how are you doing? I have compassion for you versus how much are you giving me, right? How much am I getting from you? What are the dollars? What's the ROI, right? We have to think bigger. All right. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to stay on for a couple more minutes. But I will also make sure this replay goes up and also put those links for you to either enroll or to book a call. I love talking to people one-on-one because that is how I learn more about you and your needs. That's when I get more ideas on what to go and read the research. There's a lot of research out there, for neuroscience, and it's coming out like a fire hose. I mean, it always has, but even more so now. So I take the complex and then I am able to synthesize it, not just myself. Like I said, we have other neuro professors who are also able to take the complex and associate it with current times and how coaches and leaders can use it in real time. And so that is fun for us. So the more I understand about you and your mission, the more subconsciously I can start to find the things that will enhance your mission, your journey, because that is my gift. That's my strength. That's what I love to do. That's how I show up for others. And so I believe you are my sister. I believe you are my brother. I am your keeper, the keeper of your mind. I want you to keep growing. I want you to keep showing up. And I believe that understanding the brain is going to save humanity. I believe that through and through. So that's what I plan to do. I hope I answered questions, but keep asking the questions, okay? Because I'll be reading them later on. All right. So I look forward to some of you joining. If you just met me for the first time, hi there. Now, I'm like this all the time, people. Okay. There's no turn down button when I'm talking about the brain. And I just look forward to amplifying whatever you're doing and taking your knowledge to the next level and supporting you as much as I can. You have direct access to my brain, to myself. Okay. And so this is not a program where you take it and you never see the instructor or never have any contact with anybody ever again. Okay. That's not going to serve you. This is a journey. Even though it's 8 weeks, the program, it's really a lifelong journey of understanding your brain, elevating your self-awareness, and then helping others to do the same. And there's always going to be something that you can learn more of. That's why we keep evolving the program and adding to it and updating it, because it's an organic process. We are organic beings that are designed to grow and learn and be wiser with who we are and how we communicate with others. So obviously the program has to be organic, and you should always have continued mentorship from those who teach you. That's my philosophy, and that is why I do make myself available. Okay. So if you have specific questions, I'm happy to answer. The certification test it's on a platform. It tests your understanding of what you learned in the program. It's a mixture of multiple choice, short answer, but also case studies to demonstrate your thinking through coaching or leading in a real situation. So, that's important that you can demonstrate that competence, right? Because that helps your confidence in putting this out in the world. But this is not like a university where you learn to take a test. You learn the information to take the test. I actually tell my students, wait 30 days, 60 days before you take the exam, because I really want you to practice and play and experiment with all that you learn in 8 weeks. And so by the time you get to the test, it'll be like second nature to you. Okay. So you can, so that decreases your, test anxiety. You should have a little bit of stress and test anxiety, because that is a way for your brain to be aware and alert, and know that it's an important, part of whatever you're doing. So, but I don't want you too far stressed out and having anxiety. But the more you integrate this knowledge and experiment with the terms and the strategies, the exam will be like, you'll be answering second nature. I get that all the time from the students. So once I put the link, you'll be able to see the breakdown of every week, what the topics will be, and all the other details around that. Okay. All right. I look forward to training you all and elevating your minds. Remember, when you better your mind and better your brain, you will better your impact in the world and help others to do the same. Let's do this in 2024, people. Take care.